All right. Now let's get into it. Selection of controls. We've already talked about categorization. And remember that when we categorize our system was a high. So now we want to go through the next stage, that is the selection of controls. I'm sure you are familiar with this screen. This is the task that NES has given us for us to be able to go through during the selection of controls. And he's saying that we need to select our controls, we need to tailor down our controls, do our control allocation, documentation of our continuous monitoring strategy, plan and review approval. All right. Now let's go to control selection. Now, when we say selection of control, what do we mean? We are saying that based on our system categorization, NIST has given us the 853B, which has all the controls in there. And he has categorized them that when your system is a low, kindly select all these baseline controls. When the system is a moderate, select all these baseline controls. When your system is a high, go ahead and select these line controls. Remember, all the controls that are low falls into the moderate, and all controls that are moderate are also high. But not all controls that are moderate are low, and not all controls that are high are also moderate. Now we use our FIPS 200 and our NIST 853B to do the selection of controls. Now we'll go through the control families that are in there. But when we say a control, remember that we define control as a measure or a safeguard that we put in place to address risks within our environment. Now, after we have selected the baseline controls, we now have to make sure that we are tailoring our controls. What is control tailoring? Control tailoring, just like you go into a tailor, what do you go to a tailor to do? To make sure that you are doing a custom fit, to make sure that you are customizing your pants or your shirt to fit you. So what you are doing here when we say control tailoring is that you are tailoring the control to fit the system that you are talking about. There are so many ways that we do our tailoring. Now, there are four main common or popular ones that we have. We have not applicable, we have common control, we have system specific, and we have hybrid. What do we mean when we say not applicable? Now, when we say a control is not applicable, it means that this control doesn't apply to this system. Controls that are labeled as not applicable are those that are deemed irrelevant or unnecessary for the specific system being reviewed. Now, this could be due to factors such as the system functionality. It could be because of the architecture or the absence of certain risks in the environments. Now, imagine that we have a standalone desktop computer, which is being used by a single individual with no network connectivity. No sensitive data is stored on this device. Controls that are related to the network security or data encryption might be labeled as not applicable, since they are not relevant to the system's use case. Why? We are saying that because this system is a standalone system and it's not connected to any network, what is going to happen is that you don't go ahead and send any sensitive information because it doesn't even hold any sensitive information. And so there's no need for us to encrypt any information in there. I hope that makes sense. Now let's go to common control. When we say common control, what we are saying is that the controls that are standardized across multiple systems within the organization. So you can find yourself in this room that I find myself in. Now, in this room, there could be about 7 devices that I have with me right now. Now, common control is telling me that, okay, we need to make sure that the controls on, let's say, my MacBook, I can use the same for my Windows laptop. What kind of controls? Now imagine that Nestor says that, hey, in this room, you need to make sure that you have a lock on your door. Because my laptop and my MacBook find themselves within the same environment, I can use that same lock that I have on the door for those controls. So maybe the MacBook is what I had a lock for. But when I'm trying to get an ATO for my Windows laptop, I can still leverage that lock that is being found on my door. And so because of that, it still qualifies to be what? And non-applicable. Now, when you come into our environment, we'll say that you can consider an organization that has several web applications. Now, the use of a web application firewall to protect against common web-based attacks. And remember, we talked about some of these attacks, like SQL injection, cross-site scripting can be considered as a common control. Why? Because the web application firewall is being deployed and configured consistently across all the web applications to provide a standardized level of protection. So because of that, whenever we are bringing a new device in here, we can use that same web application firewall. I hope that makes sense to you. Now we can move on to the next one. The next one is system specific. Now controls which are labeled as system specific are tailored and unique to the particular characteristics, risks, or requirements of the system under review. Now these controls address specific threats or vulnerabilities that are inherent to the system. So we are saying that these controls come with a system. NIST can say that, okay, you need to make sure that you have a camera. Now, because my system or my laptop already comes with a camera, I don't have to go ahead and install a new camera anymore. Or you can think about a highly regulated industry like a healthcare. Now, the hospital's electronic medical device or records, that is EMR system, might have specific controls related to patients' privacy and data confidentiality. Now, these controls could include role-based access controls. Now, audit trails for tracking access to sensitive records and encryption of patients' data. These controls have been designed specifically for the EMR system to address the unique risks associated with handling medical information. Because it has been done for the EMR system, it becomes something that comes with the system and it becomes a system-specific control. I hope that also makes sense. Now let's move to the last one, that is a hybrid. Now, when we say a hybrid controls combine the elements of multiple control types to address diverse security requirements. So all that we are saying is that they are leveraging whether it's a system specific and a common control and not applicable or a common control to be able to do this. Now, imagine that you have a cloud-based system. Now, during the cloud-based customer relation management system used by the sales team, now the system may employ a combination of the following controls: common controls as a regular software update and patch management that has been applied across all cloud-based systems within the organization. The system-specific controls, such as the role-based access tailored to the CRM system data and the various user roles, whereas there's hybrid controls, which are multi-factor authentication, which is a common security practice, but configured specifically for the CRM system to be able to enhance security. Now, in summary, during the review of a system control baseline, you are identifying controls, then you are tailoring down your controls, whether they are non-applicable, meaning it doesn't apply to the system at all. Common control means that they are very specific to the system. Common control meaning that you are borrowing it from other systems within the same environment, or system specific. And the last one is a hybrid controls. I'm sure now you understand what a non-applicable control means. You understand what a common control means. You understand a hybrid control and also a system-specific control. Now let's head into the various control families.